Good morning. So today we're going to work on the same concept as yesterday, a slope-intercept form, except this time you're not going to be given the y-intercept. So you're going to have to find it, and I will show you how to do that. So you're going to be given a point and the slope, or 2 points. As always, please complete your do now, watch this video, then complete the Google form on slope-intercept form with a point and the slope, or 2 points. And when you're done, complete the reflection. Okay, so similar to yesterday, we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the point -8, 3 and has a slope of 1/4. The only difference is you are not given the y-intercept. So I'm going to show you how you would find the y-intercept. We know slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I am going to sub in what I know. So I know it's y equals 1/4 x plus b. I do not know the y-intercept this time, but I am given a point, okay? We know a point is x, y. So what I can do is I can sub x and y into the equation and solve for b. So that is what I am going to do. I am going to make it 3, because that's the y, equals 1/4, x is -8, plus b, and I'm going to now find the y-intercept. Well, 1/4 of -8 is -2, so I get 3 equals -2 plus b. I add 2 to both sides, and b, or the y-intercept in this case, is 5. Now I'm ready to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So I get y equals 1/4 x, because I know the slope is 1/4, and the y-intercept, or the b, is 5. Okay, so you take the point you're given and plug it in. So I'm going to show you that again. We know the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In this case, we know the slope, but we do not know the y-intercept. The y-intercept would be when x is 0, and in this case, x is not 0, it's 3. So we are going to sub in y equals -2x plus b. And I need to figure out, I want to figure out what b is. So I'm going to take my point, that's xy, and I sub it in. So I get -1 equals -2 times 3 plus b. Well, -2 times 3 is -6 plus b equals -1. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I get b to equal 5. So now I'm ready to write my equation. I know it's y equals -2x plus 5, because the y-intercept is 5. And you could always sub your points back in to check to make sure they make sense. So if x is 3, -2 times 3 is -6, y would be -1. So you are correct. So the last example that I'm going to show you, given a point in the slope, in this case you're given the x-intercept, so you still need to find the y-intercept. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So I know it's y equals -2/3 x plus b. I need to find b. So I know my point's always xy, so I make it 0 equals -2/3 times 4 plus b. Okay, -2/3 times 4 gives me -8/3 plus b, and that has to equal 0. So I'm going to add 8/3 to both sides, and that is my y-intercept. Okay, so now when I go to write my equation, I can leave it improper, that is fine. So it's going to be y equals -2/3 x, because that was the slope, plus 8/3. And that is my equation in slope-intercept form. So now this is the same idea as we did yesterday, but the difference is you're not given the y-intercept. So you're going to have to find the slope, and if I were you, I would find that first. So let's find the slope of this line. I know it's change in y, so -2 minus 2 over change in x, which is 3 minus 1, which is -4 over 2, which gives me a slope of -2. Okay? Now, after I find that, I can use the same method that I just did. Using either point, it doesn't matter. So I know it's going to be y equals negative 2x plus b. I am going to take the point, because I like positives, I'm going to use 1, 2. So the y is 2, the x is 1, right? And I'm going to use this to solve for b. So I get 2 is negative 2 plus b. I add 2 to both sides, and I get b equals 4. So now after I sub the point in, I can write the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 2x plus 4. And if I want to check, I can check both points and they should work. So if I sub in 3, negative 2, 3 for x, negative 2 should be the y. If I sub in 1 for x, 2 should be the y. And it does work, so I know my equation's correct. So this next example is like we just did. There's no y-intercept, you're just given 2 points. So I would find the slope first. So the slope, remember, is change in y, so 10 minus 4 over change in x. 10 minus 4 is 6, 3 minus 1 is 2. So in this case, my slope is 3. So now I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals 3x plus b. It doesn't matter which point I choose. They both will work. So I'm going to just choose the first one. So I plug in 4 for y equals 3 times 1 plus b. I need to solve for b. It's exactly like you would solve an equation. So I get 4 equals 3 plus b. I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get b to equal 1. Now I am ready to write my equation in slope-intercept form. So it's y equals 3x plus 1, okay? And I could check every point again. If I sub in 1 for x, the y is 4. If I sub in 3 for x, the y is 10. So I know my equation is correct. Y equals 3x plus 1. So I'm going to do one more example. We need to find the slope first. So remember, the slope is negative 4 minus a negative 1 over 8 minus a negative 4, which gives me negative 3 over 12, which I can reduce to a negative 1/4. I sub it back in, so I know it's going to be y equals negative 1/4 x plus b. It doesn't matter the point I use, so I'm just going to use the first one. Negative 1 equals negative 1/4 of a negative 4 plus b. Negative 1/4 of a negative 4 is a positive 1. So positive 1 plus b has to equal negative 1. I subtract 1 from both sides, so I get b equals negative 2. And now I'm ready to write my equation. It's going to be y equals negative 1/4 x minus 2. And I could sub the points back in to make sure they work. So next is a word problem. The student council is ordering customized foam hands to promote school spirit. The table shows the cost of ordering a different number of foam hands. So in a table, every point can be listed as a coordinate. So first you need to find the slope. So from 34 to 46, it's a change in 12. Okay, it's a consistent change in 12, doesn't matter which point you use. So we're first finding the slope. So it's change in 12, and from 4 to 6, it's over 2. So we can simplify, and in this case, the slope is 6, or it's $6 per hand, okay? Now, we know it's just not $6 per hand. There's something else there. So probably a setup fee or something else. So what we need to do is we need to solve and find the y-intercept. So we know it's going to be y equals 6x plus b. You can put any point, so it's probably easiest just to use the first point. So the first point, the y is 34, the x is 4. So we are solving for b. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 plus b has to equal 34. So I subtract 24 from both sides, and I get b to equal 10. right? 34 minus 24 is 10. So now I can write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals 6x plus 10. And that would be my equation. Every point that I pick should work. So if I purchase 10 hands and sub in 10, 6 times 10 is 60, plus 10 is 70. This is the equation that is modeled by this table. So the last example, you pay an installation fee and a monthly fee for internet service. The table shows the total cost for the number of months. So first we need to find the slope. So you need to find the change in cost over the months. Okay, so you would do 302 minus 176 would give you, so I do 302 minus 176 over 6 minus 3. And I get 126 over 3, which gives me a slope of $42, which means it's $42 a month. But we need to figure out the installation fee. So the same thing. I know it's going to be y equals 42x plus b. I sub in a point. I can just use the first point. So I know I'm going to sub in 176 for y, 42 times 3, and I'm going to solve for b. Well, 42 times 3 is 126. So I get 126 plus b equals 176. I subtract 126 from both sides, and I get b to equal 50. So that is the installation fee. I can write this equation as y equals 42x plus 50. And every point will work. If I wanted to try it just to check, I can try every point. That is the equation that is modeled by this chart. As always, please try your best. If you need help, it's best you join me on Zoom at 11:30 a.m. Please be on time because we do go through every problem, and if you join late, it's pretty hard to catch up because you have to answer all the questions. Use the link you received in your email. If you did not get it, please email me. As always, you can also contact me through email. Remember, if the coefficient is 1, so if your slope is 1, please just put it as x. Try not to use 1x, okay? Have a great day.